As many of you already know, we have been witnessing a serious banking crisis here in America. And over the past couple days, we are seeing additional problems. Problems such as people not being able to access their accounts, not access their information, not being able to withdraw cash, ATMs going down. Please comment down below. Do you believe that the U.S. banking system is safe? Do you trust your money in the U.S. banks? Or do you believe that the U.S. banking system has big trouble? I'd be very curious to know your opinion of this. Please comment down below. Are the U.S. banks safe or are they not safe? I'm just sitting out here on this beautiful evening here in the desert, and I just wanted to recap on a few events, a few articles of concern. And going back to what I opened up with, we've got some serious issues with some of our banks. And I want to talk about that. Wall Street Journal yesterday had an article, Technical Issues Affected Capital One Account Holders. Talked about the many problems on Friday. Unhappy customers that said that there were too many issues with this bank in 1 year. If we go back in July with Capital One, many of you may remember that the personal information of 100 million customers and applicants was hacked. And that really makes you think, how safe is your information and how safe is your money in these banks when they're being hacked all the time? Now they're saying this was a technical issue in regards to people not being able to access their accounts, to access their money. But how do we know that for sure? Are we witnessing a liquidation crisis? Are we witnessing more hacking? How safe are these banks? And the big question is, how safe is your money and do you trust them? Bank of America, now this is on Forbes a couple days ago. Bank of America's outage panics customers. Here's what we know so far. Customers panicked because they could not access information or their bank accounts with Bank of America. Outage hits across America with Bank of America's web login, their mobile app, their customer service lines, even their ATMs were down. Several thousand issues were reported the last couple days, but Bank of America says, don't worry, it's just technology related. How many of you really believe that? Is it more than that? Is there serious hacking going on here? Or is it even beyond that? Is it this liquidation crisis? Are they having cash issues? Are these banks in more trouble than we're being told? I want to talk about another article here. U.S. debt over $23 trillion now. And that's pretty scary that now we're over $23 trillion. And in the last 12 months, we racked up an additional $1.3 trillion of debt. But while we talk about this debt, 2 hours from my house here is the beautiful city of San Diego. And they've arrested more non-Mexican migrants than ever before. People from Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador. Historic number of non-Mexican migrants arrested in San Diego this year. And it just makes me question, how is America going to continue to pay for all these people? MIT did a study. We know that there's 22 million people here that shouldn't be here. We have thousands of people coming here still continually every week that are coming over that shouldn't be. And we haven't been hearing too much about it in the news. 23+ trillion dollars of debt. And we know the number is close to $200 trillion when we add in Medicare, Medicaid, unfunded pensions. And yet we are racking up debt at an alarming rate on a daily basis. And we cannot afford to take care of the entire world. Yet the entire world is still coming to America. And you know, people write me and just tell me that it's just horrible that I say this, that I believe we should actually have a country, that there actually needs to be a border, and they don't understand that somebody has to pay for this. And I don't know how we can help other people by going bankrupt, by destroying our own country. America is heading into being a third world country itself because people coming here are turning it into a third world country. They're bankrupting America. It costs money to have people come here. When people hurt themselves and go to the hospital, when they have kids, who do you think's paying for that? You and I are paying for that. The taxpayer is paying for that. And people just believe that this money is just made up out of thin air and that everything's free. This invasion is costing America its sovereignty, and it is bankrupting the economy of America. It's one of the drivers that's really bankrupting us. We have 200,000 homeless people right here just in the state of California. Millions of people in this country have an inadequate amount of food, or they're living on the streets. We have veterans still living on the streets. And it is absolutely unforgivable and absolutely just unimaginable what we are doing to our own citizens. Unacceptable. And yet we are taking care of people from all over the world coming here. These people are given government subsidy. They're given health coverage, educations, and yet we continue to be overloaded with unskilled, uneducated people while AI and technology are replacing so many jobs. What are we going to do with all these people? And heaven forbid, when this collapse happens, as we know, food shortages, when we start seeing money shortages and people start really getting angry, what are we going to do with all these people from around the world here in the United States of America? This government does not care about you. They have forgotten about you. And yet they continue to embrace bringing people over here and paying for it. I guess as long as one side of the government agrees to bring these people over and treat them like slaves, because these are not the most educated, advanced, sophisticated people coming over here, easily manipulated, easily controlled. We will pay you just enough to stay on the plantation, but you will vote for us. And that's exactly what's happening. Your country is being sold out. It's being sold out for cheap votes to uneducated, unskilled people who have nothing to offer America, okay? Most of these people have no allegiance or loyalty to America, but what they are is they are cheap votes and cheap labor for the slave masters, and they want to stay in power, and they're going to keep importing votes in order to do it while they sell your country out, sell you out, and make you pay for this. I had a good friend call me from Texas last night. Most of you have probably seen Aaron on the show from last summer, and he said, what do you think the chances we really see things heat up civilly? And I got to be careful the words I use here, but you know what I mean. When we see things happen civilly on the streets of America, and I said, well, I think right now we are seeing the beginning stages. Things are heating up. They're more heated than they were 6 months ago, that's for sure. We look at the chaos in New York. I believe it was in Brooklyn, the subway stations last night. People by the thousands showed up saying how much they hated the police. The police shouldn't be arresting people who don't pay money to go on the subway. They don't want any additional police in New York. They called them pigs. They called them every name, completely degrading law enforcement. And look, I'm not saying that all law enforcement is great. I don't want a military state by any means. But most of the police I know are great people, especially in the sheriff's department. They took an oath to protect the Second Amendment, and the ones that I know stand behind that. But it's absolutely astonishing watching these people who act like animals embrace breaking the law, degrade law enforcement, police, and then destroy their own cities and tell us how they don't want any police. It's really sad but true. I think a lot of America are going to get what they deserve. And when I see thousands of people come together as a group to degrade police officers, to vandalize a city, I think to myself, what's going to happen when the lights go out? What if a grid goes down? What if, there is some real political and social unrest in America? If people are willing to get that upset over allowing people to ride a subway and not have to pay the $2.75, that thousands would come together and protest that and protest the police because they just believe everybody should just ride for free. And, if you believe that, that's fine, but I don't think you should be vandalizing your city or attacking the police for that. But these are the kind of people that we're going to be dealing with. They're willing to get violent just for a protest about who rides the subway and how much it's going to cost, and that apparently they believe that everybody should ride the subway for free. If you believe that, then I guess you should vote for that. But attacking the police and attacking your own city, it's ugly. But again, if people are willing to get this violent over basically nothing, what will they do when they get hungry? What will they do when they get thirsty? What will they do when they have no heat, no air conditioning, no refrigeration, when they don't have the luxuries of everyday life? What they do is they lash out. They're going to blame you. They will blame the police. They will blame the president. They will blame everybody but themselves. And in doing so, they become very violent, and they are going to lash out. And this is why I believe 100% why you must have security, why you must be training, why you should always be ready. Let's talk about the jobs that were added for October. Non-farm payrolls rose by 128,000. Let's talk about some of the jobs in that 128,000. This is where it gets a little bit interesting. Food services and drinking added 48,000 jobs. So restaurants and bars added 48,000 jobs. Healthcare added 15,000 jobs. So what we know is there's a lot of people now with college degrees serving lunch and dinner at restaurants, making cocktails at bars. Healthcare added 15,000, and those are going to be your medical assistants and whatnot. And you know that's going to continue to grow as obesity in America grows. We will see more jobs in healthcare rise. But again, medical assistants, these are not high-paying jobs. These are, $15 an hour jobs. Service sector. Manufacturing lost 36,000 jobs in October. That tells us something right there. It reinforces what I've been saying, what most of you know. America doesn't make anything. We need to be making things. We need well-paying manufacturing jobs, not service sector jobs, making cocktails and breakfast. We need to be making steel. We need to be making electronics. We need to have an industry here where we're making stuff. We shouldn't be making 30% of our cars here in America. We should be making 100% of our cars here. We need to be making stuff. Social assistants added 20,000 jobs. These are home service assistants, home care aides. These are like, people that come to your house, take care of your 90-year-old mother. And these are, again, low-paying jobs, and a large number of these jobs are part-time. And that's another thing, too. With a lot of these jobs added, a lot of them are part-time. And I'm sure many of these are very seasonal, too, coming into Thanksgiving and Christmas. But again, let's go back over it. Food service and drinking, okay? Restaurants and bars, healthcare, your typical medical assistant making $14, $15, $16. Manufacturing lost 36,000 jobs. I'm not even going to go into retail. It's a massacre. Social assistants, again, we added 20,000. This is home care, service assistants, very low paying part-time jobs. So, I'm not, again, I'm going to support this president. I'm praying for the best, but this is not going to support the U.S. economy. In regards to the restaurant and bar jobs, Zero Hedge yesterday, the restaurant industry is saddled with debt and facing a reckoning. So again, we have this contradiction, whether it's the RV industry that the typical American is taking all of his money and buying RVs, but then the RV industry and the manufacturers tell us that it's the worst year they've ever seen. They're in a massive recession, but the U.S. government is telling us that the U.S. Spender, the consumer, is buying RVs. Now we go into this article on Zero Hedge. Debt to earnings among companies in the Russell 2000 Restaurant Index is now the highest on record. Yet, most of the jobs that were created in October is in this industry. Yet, there's massive debt piling up in this industry. The debt has been cheap the last 4 or 5 years. Now cash flows are starting to decline, and that debt is getting scary looking. Rob Hunziker whose company, Advanced Restaurant Sales, provides brokerage services to the industry. He also said there's a problem and it's getting worse. So you be the judge. Again, do we believe this is the question? Do we believe these government numbers regarding the jobs? Do we believe these consumer numbers, that the consumer's healthy and spending? Do we believe these numbers? I believe the employment numbers are a lie. I believe all these consumer numbers are a lie. And I believe these job numbers are also a lie. But, you know, everybody has their own opinion. It's my opinion. But again, we're reading this right here on Zero Hedge. Debt to earnings among companies in the Russell 2000 Restaurant Index is now the highest on record. So this much debt, yet all the jobs being created, or 48,000 of the 128,000 jobs was in this industry. I still have people write me and they say, JB, you've been talking about this collapse for 2 years. It's never going to happen. They're going to keep it going, blah, blah, blah. These people seem to forget what happened back in 2008. I think what we really have to understand is things have already collapsed and they're re-collapsing right now. Let me reiterate a few things for some of the people out there that forgot about 2008 and forgot reality of what's happening today. U.S. business hiring has fallen to its lowest in 7 years. Is that a good sign for the economy? Consumer confidence in the U.S. has declined 3 months in a row. And remember, we're in a boom, yet consumer confidence is declining. Defaults on subprime auto loans is happening at the fastest pace since 2008. But this is a good economy. The percentage of subprime auto loans 60 days delinquent is now higher than it was at any point during the last recession. Vacancies at U.S. shopping malls has hit the highest level since the last recession. Yet there's people out there arguing with me, with you, that there's no crash, that everything's fine. Things are crashing right now. People are so blind that they don't even see what is happening. It's like being in quicksand, sinking, and not knowing it. Like, people are absolutely numb, they're blind, they're naive, they're delirious. The crash is happening all around you right now, but you can't even see it. It's absolutely startling that people are this blind. We've been on a 12-year run, and people believe that the party and the music will continue forever. This is how naive the typical American has become. We are seeing right now 2008 type numbers, even worse, yet the average dumbed down American is too consumed with football, beer, and whatever the hell they're doing to even notice it. 2019 was the worst year for store closings probably in the history of America. The case freight index has now fallen for 10 months in a row. Rail carload volumes have plunged to the lowest level in 3 years. September orders for Class 8 trucks were down 71%. Tesla U.S. sales were down 39% during the third quarter of 2019. Last month, existing home sales in the U.S. declined another 2.2%. You are witnessing an economic collapse beginning right now, but you're too dumbed down to see what's going on. You're in too much denial to see the truth. We are now witnessing a time here in the U.S. where 44% of Americans don't make enough money to cover their monthly expenses. We are watching economic activity throughout the country slow down. Small businesses here in the U.S. are getting absolutely hammered. The middle class is being devastated. People are so desperate that they're now doing payday loans with a 400% APR. People now are getting loans 2 or 3 days before they get their paycheck because they need the money yesterday to pay for their bills. You have to give the central banks credit. They've been keeping this bubble going for way too long. This should have never lasted this long. This intervention has kept all this alive, but I'm here to tell you, the storm is getting very, very close. Also remember that around 50% of US workers here make less than $32,000 a year. We are seeing massive inflation, although the business analysts and the media tell you that inflation is at an all-time low. Go to your store, you know that a pound of hamburger, a pound of steak, a pound of chicken goes up literally on a weekly basis. You know when you go and you pay $4 or $5 for a box of cereal, and there's a lot less cereal in that box, and it tastes a lot crappier than it did 10 years ago. So you're getting less quality and you're getting less product, but you're paying a lot more for it. People with degrees, now, we're also witnessing this in America. You've seen it, I've seen it. People with degrees now are dropping off food orders. You know, these companies now, you can go online, order your food, and a driver will take it and drop it off at your office, your house, what have you. I forgot the name of the thing. But we now have people with degrees delivering pizzas, dropping off lunch, all this. I had a friend a couple weeks ago call me, and they said that they were interviewing people for their company to answer phones. Okay, a pretty basic job. You don't need a whole lot of experience or a whole lot, I guess, a whole lot of talent to answer phones, but obviously you want somebody good, but it doesn't take a whole lot of talent to answer a phone. But they told me out of the 12 people that applied for this job, 8 of these people had a degree. 12 people applying for a job to answer a phone, 8 of these people had a degree. Not a high-paying job, not a very advanced type job, not a technical job, just answer a phone. This is what we're seeing in America. People are going to be so indebted with college tuitions. If you're thinking about it, you know, quite possibly you might want to look at a trade school. You might want to look at some other options instead of getting $50, $80, $100,000 in debt, and then find out that that degree is meaningless, it's worthless, and that you're going to be a debt slave for the rest of your life paying off that debt. And it's going to be very hard to pay that debt off when you're making $14 an hour, $12 an hour, working at Starbucks, working at a restaurant, working at a bar, working as a pedicurist, whatever, working in the service sector, servicing other people. You're not going to make a whole lot of money. So be very, very careful on the decisions you make today, because you may pay a very serious price tomorrow. So I'm going to wrap it up right here. Before I go, again, I just want to reply to the people that want to debate that the economy is good, that there's no collapse coming. I'm here to tell every one of you the collapse is here. First off, the collapse happened in 2008. The collapse is continuing, and we are going to watch a recollapse as they continue to prop up the stock market with billions of dollars that the Fed continues to pump into it, the billions of dollars that the Fed is pumping into the banking industry, as the government continues to drown us with the fake data, the fake job numbers, the fake unemployment numbers. Answer me this. We're getting manufacturing numbers that are not good. Manufacturing down, service sector down, yet jobs are up. We are getting a lot of propaganda here, and you can believe what you want. But from what I see, the collapse is very alive, the collapse is continuing, and the collapse is about to get much worse. And because it hasn't affected some people, and what's surprising is many of these people that will argue this point that everything is good. They're making $24,000 a year, $27,000 a year. They have massive debt. They have no net worth, and they really have no future, yet they believe everything is okay. This is now acceptable to the typical American, to be a debt slave, to never own anything, to never have a net worth, to just have massive amounts of debt and to live paycheck to paycheck and just get by. This is now acceptable. This to them means there is no collapse, and they don't understand. They're living in the collapse right now. I want to leave you with this. Make sure that, you know, you take 20 bucks and you get some of this. This is what is going to get you through the collapse, okay? Stop buying stuff you don't need. Stop buying stuff to impress people you don't like. Cut things out, cut the mochas out, cut the cocktails out, cut the weekend trips out, and start putting away some real assets. People are living in fantasy land. They're playing Russian roulette with their future. You need to be putting cash away, and you need to be putting silver away. And if you can afford it, you need to be putting gold away. Have a phenomenal weekend. God bless America. Silver is beautiful. It's real money. And I can take this anywhere in the world, and people know immediately what it is. This will buy me 3 months of food in Venezuela. For the people out there that say you can't eat your silver, well, I got something to tell you. This will buy 3 months of food today in Venezuela. God bless every one of you.